Good evening, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Ask Sharifah Videocast. I am your host, Sharifah Hardie, and we have a very special guest for you today. I'm going to introduce him, but before I even bring him on, I want to know if maybe you remember this young man.
Hi. Haven't I seen you on TV before?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Rodney.
Rodney what?
Rodney Allen Rippy.
What's that in front of you?
The Jumbo Jack
A jumbo jack.
from Jack in the Box.
Did you ever get a bite out of it?
It's too big to eat.
You think you'll be able to get a bite now? Give it a try, Rodney. Tell us how you like it.
I can't.
Oh, okay.
Right, we have the one, the only Mr. Rodney Allen Rippy, all grown up. How are you, Mr. Rippy?
Blessed. I'm on here with you, having a great time. How are you doing tonight?
I am wonderful because I get to speak to an actor, producer, director, and those things are all wonderful, but it's the politician aspect that I'm excited about. That's really what I want to talk about.
Okay, I'm all yours.
Okay. Well, let's see. You ran for mayor of Compton in 2015. Is that correct?
That is very, very true. A lot of people thought that this was kind of like some kind of crazy, a little stunt. And that's not true at all. I actually had my greatest intentions on making a huge impact in that city. I was born in Long Beach, California. I attended Cal State Dominguez Hills, which is right in Carson. That's less than 2 miles away from Compton. And always had a kind of close connection, being born in Long Beach. Compton's like right around the corner. A lot of you remember the old Jack in the Box commercial, and I had my big, beautiful afro. Well, my dear dad, Fred, would take me to his barber that was in Compton, right off of Long Beach Boulevard in Compton, right there at a main barbershop. Everybody knew about this barbershop. That's where I would get my hair cut. So I always had a close feeling with Compton. And, honestly, I had a lot of, all my life, there was all these jokes and different things. And people said that Compton was this and Compton was that. And I was like, well, I've been through there. It's not that, it's not what everybody makes it out to be. So I had an opportunity to run for mayor, and that's exactly what I did. I ran for mayor, and it was an incredible experience. If anybody's ever stepped into a political ring like yourself, it is a very serious thing. The people you're connecting with, the time that you're presenting, the heart, the message, the studying that you have to do, it's out of this world. And so, but there are people like yourself and so many others who have the heart to better their community, to make their state better, to make certain things move and flow better. And that's why people run. And that was my whole purpose.
Okay. So for me, I'm running for California State Senate District 33, which goes from Long Beach to Huntington Park. So
Okay.
what motivated you to get involved in politics?
You know what? Honestly, I saw a huge opportunity. I mean, where Compton is actually located, it's right off the 91, the 110, the 710, and the 105 freeway. It is the hub city. It is surrounded by major highways, and there's a lot of business that could come. And it's also, people don't believe it, it's not that far from the coast. So, and I started thinking, I was like, man, here in Southern California, the beach communities, something that's kind of right on the water or not that far from it, that is a thriving community to be near. And I started thinking of so many missed opportunities with Compton. I started looking at it, and I started noticing so many different things. I said, man, Compton doesn't even have a major movie theater. I started looking around. There's not one major hotel in the whole city. And I said, there needs to be a branded hotel here in the city. I started looking at the lifestyle, the entertainment, the layout of the city. I started problem shooting. I drove around the city and I said, this is crazy. I looked around and there wasn't one trash can on any corner. And I started noticing, I said, well, I think that might be a problem because there's nowhere for people. I don't care where you are. If you come out of a business and you got a can of soda, where are you going to put the can at? There's no trash can around. So there were certain little things that I started to notice that could have been improved. And I believe that the people, the constituents of Compton, they want it better. And there were people who had been there 2 generations, 3 generations. And I said, well, why is everything the same? Then I started digging in and I'm talking to the people and I started finding out a lot of stuff. And I said, well, Rodney, you're not a politician. You did not get into this for politics. You got into this to better the city. I let people know straight up. It wasn't a check from me. I wanted to make a difference in the city to improve the education system, just the overall lifestyle, just the overall feel and flow, and the business inner workings of the city. And so I did see a lot of great opportunities. And that was my purpose for getting involved with it. I wanted to see Compton be more competitive here within the really Southern California area. I mean, with Long Beach thriving, Carson with the stadium and so many different other things. And I started thinking, well, what's wrong with Compton? We can be better. I knew the residents wanted more. The education system was needing things. And so I found out and discovered quite a bit. When you start running and you look into the city, and I started having some serious questions. I still have things in my computer that would blow you away. I mean, literally, when I was running, I drove around the city and I said, why are the trees overgrowing the light poles? I mean, the light poles were surrounded by tree branches. And I said, is anybody maintaining the overall look of the city, the safety factor? And I started noticing, I started looking around the streets and I said, there are burned out street lights. I said, and I thought all my life, I said, I have never been in a city and saw a burned out street light. There were multiple burned out, not working street lights. And I said, Rodney, you got to change this. And so that, I'm telling you, I could go on and on. Definitely need to get off my soapbox because there was so much action going on down there. Potholes in the streets. I literally myself hit a pothole, gave myself a flat tire. That's how deep the pothole was. And I said, okay, this is crazy. And so those were just some of my purposes for running.
No, I love soapboxes. Soapboxes is where you get all the meat and the potatoes and you can find out the juice. But we played your Jack in the Box commercial. You were this little cute kid. Everybody knew you. You grew up in Long Beach. When you entered the political arena, did you find people didn't necessarily take you serious? Because sometimes as actors and entertainers, people just think, right, you're good for fun, but not to take serious. Did you run into that?
Oh, no, they took me serious because the things I said made total sense. When I was in a debate, I hate to tell you, it wasn't acting, it was facts. And the bombs that I dropped on people, I was in the middle of a debate and Compton was going through some budgetary things. And they said, there were 12 people at the time, and until they started dropping off, I stayed in all the way. And in the middle of this debate, there were 12 other candidates there. And I'm sitting there and I said, this is crazy. But I didn't say anything. And a question came up in the debate. And honestly, I had a couple of little postcards. That's it. Because everything I had was in my head. Everything was in my heart. It was serious for me. And so one of the questions was, what are we going to do? The city has to operate on a 4-day work week. We're going to shut the libraries down on Friday, and the city is going to be closed on Friday, the whole city. And I sat there and my head was just like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I said, when they come to me, I got some action for that. And they said, Mr. Rippy, candidate Rippy, what are you going to do about this? I said, as for me and as mayor, if you elect me, I will be in my office on Friday without pay. Woo! You heard the whole place just woo! And I said, that's right. I said, I might have a skeleton staff. How in the world can this city run on a 4-day work week? I said, that's impossible. I said, why would you guys even suggest that? Woo! And I ate them up. Every time they asked me something, I didn't have some big, there were people there with notepads and notebooks, and I was just sitting there watching this stuff, and I said, man, this is crazy. But the point is, I knew deep in my heart, because I also got in my car. I drove around the city. I took notes for days. I rode around and I said, look at all these streets and these alleys with all this illegal dumping in it. And then I went on the city website. There was nothing in place. So I had planned during this election, I said, I'm revamping the website. I am going to put on the website a Facebook-ish style of contact. All you have to do, if I would have been mayor, go to the city website, log on, say where the trash was dumped. Then somebody would have checked that thing first thing in the morning. They would have been dispatching sanitation. And there would have been a campaign running concurrently to say, don't dump, recycle. I would have tried to get people to recycle. I would have tried to say, listen, I understand you got some broke down refrigerators and stuff like that. Hey, let's recycle. Trust me, I would have ramped up a recycling program. I would have encouraged people to recycle. I was planning on definitely having a closer crime watch situation. So if you knew something, you didn't have to get involved. If you knew something crazy, all you had to do is go to city website, let law enforcement know, and then it would have been something that would have helped de-escalate a lot of the problems and things. Right now, things are still going on. What I hear in the news, they're out there doing all these crazy car takeovers and spinning the cars around. People are getting injured. City properties getting damaged. Terrible nuisance for residents. All that type of stuff. That stuff doesn't have to go on. All they need to do is stay ahead of it. All they have to do, there are certain websites that people are posting stuff. If I was the mayor, I would have a team watching these so-called websites, and I just would have the police show up wherever they say they were going. The police would be showing up. So there was a lot of stuff there was a whole lot of stuff that could have easily been handled, but at the time it just wasn't. And I can tell you some things that happened, which are going to be in my autobiography. I don't want to spill all the beans, because there was some really crazy things that happened the night of the election, and I was just like, don't think. I'll put it to you like this: Compton's not that big of a city. The election was on a Thursday. They didn't have the votes counted Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The next Tuesday was the city council meeting. I showed up and I said, now I got to wait for this. I said, there were 300, 400 people in the city council chambers. Everybody is screaming, who won, who won, who won? And I sat there on Tuesday. I'm sitting right there listening to this. And they said, calmed everybody down. Well, we still counting the votes. I said, that's it. I went right on up front. and said I had put my name in so I could speak, public speak. And I said, Candidate Rippy, you got something to say? I said, I believe something is not right here. I am out. And they said, excuse me? I said, I am out. I am bowing out of the election. And I did. And see, that's the whole thing that a lot of people, then there were all these crazy things. They said, I only got 75 votes. I was the only candidate who had nationwide exposure. I was the only candidate that had local news, Channel 7, the #1 news, because I used to work at Channel 7. So, of course, they covered it, but they did cover it. And I was the only candidate that had that type of notoriety. And not only that, I had plans. I had some serious concrete plans. I had a tax-based plan to be able to get jobs in, to be able to really benefit the city. I had came up with a plan that was going to encourage the local businesses to just hire one person, to stretch as far as they could and just hire one person, not 5, not 3, 1. Hire one person to help alleviate and just to kind of better the community and give opportunities. And so there were a lot of things that I had studied. So as you can see, excuse me, let me get down off of that soapbox. There you go. I'm off the box now.
It's too early in the show. It's too early in the show to get off the soapbox. We need this soapbox energy because I have questions. I have a lot of questions. Okay, so you went through this experience. You saw, to you, let me just say, something's not right.
Kind of, yeah. You could say that, yeah.
Okay, so you bow out. At the point that you bow out, what do you feel about politics in general? Do you feel like you can still make a difference? How did you refocus? I mean, because Compton is still Compton. You know what I mean? There's still my friend Alonzo Williams with the Compton Entertainment Chamber. They just got East Street. They're making a difference. People are trying to improve Compton. So I am excited about that. But
I am as well.
After what did you feel about it after?
I still believe in politics. I still believe in the people. I just think that at that time it was really different. I learned a lot. I think I was too open with my opinions and things because I guess in politics you probably shouldn't say all that you're thinking. And I thought, because I was a first-time candidate, first time in politics, I really believed that because I didn't hold back. I told people exactly what it was. I told them my plans. I laid it all on the table, and everybody knew I was sincere. And I told them, and they asked me one time in one of the debates, Rodney, there's $250,000 missing. What are you going to do? I said, when did that come up missing? Oh, it's been missing a couple years ago. I said, I would rather focus on going forward. I promise you that if I get elected, that will not happen again. I guarantee you. And what happened was, this is one serious example. Seriously. They asked me, well, what are you going to do to keep the city from having missing money? I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'll tell you. I said, I'll tell you next Tuesday, the next city council meeting. I was already on the phone speaking with the accounting company that handles the city of Long Beach. They track billions of dollars out of the Port of Long Beach. The Port of Long Beach is the cash register for the whole Western United States. There is more commerce going into the city of Long Beach and the Port of Long Beach. It supplies half the nation. And the accounting company that handles all of that, I just happened to go and meet the CEO. Guess what? The CEO and his partner showed up to the city council meeting as my guest one Tuesday, city council meeting. So I'm sitting there, these guys are dressed to kill. And they said, Mr. Rippy, who are you you're on the card, you're on the docket. Please come up and speak. You have a couple of distinguished guests with you. I said, yes. I said, these are two colleagues of mine. I said, they're excited about me running for mayor. And I said, in the event that I am elected, we've had some issues about accounting, about money missing and other problems. I forgot the gentleman's name. I said, he actually is CEO and the owner of the accounting firm for the city of Long Beach. Let me step aside and let him speak. He stepped up and said right there, if Mr. Rippy becomes mayor, we would be honored to handle oversight and accounting for the city of Compton. We do it. We track billions of dollars for the city of Long Beach. It would be no problem for us to help the city of Compton make sure that everything is right. Man, you could hear a cricket cough in the back of the room. And they was like, well, thank you very much. And you could, beads of sweat started building up on people. And I said, all right, everybody, thank you very much. And I went on, sat back down. I think that was a kiss of death, because I was that serious about it. I wasn't planning. I knew I wasn't going to jail because, and I had said this in the middle of a debate, there will be no private meetings with me. Don't even ask. Because everywhere I go, I'm going to be sitting down with my staff. There's going to be people with me. Don't even ask. I'm not having no private meetings with nobody. When I said that, again, you can hear a cricket cough in the back of the room, because I didn't play politics. I really didn't. And so I think that was a bit too much honesty. And I think that might have been the reason why there was a lot of shenanigans and foolishness going on during the election.
You are so interesting, though, because there's so much that we have in Compton. In common, not in Compton.
Yeah,
But I say
yeah.
the same thing all the time. I don't do private meetings. When I show up at a meeting, it's at least going to be a few other people, because then we have a record of these conversations. But like yourself, I'm a very honest person. Sharifah in Arabic means honest or of honor, and I always speak my truth. So a lot of times when I go into these conversations or when I'm out campaigning and people ask me what I want to change, they get sometimes this look in their eye, and you realize, well, maybe they don't want that to be changed. There's a lot of people who really like the way things are. They like the status quo. They like the corruption. They like, they're winning in their ways. So when you come in and you want to make a difference or you want to make a change, it sounds good to a lot of people, but other people don't realize how hard it is to really make those strides when there's a wall of protection up, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, when you start, I trust me, I found out when it comes down to politics, there's a lot of relationships. There are people, and see, my relationships had nothing to do with political pool. It was the funniest thing. A couple of years after the election, I had to go down to Compton for an event. I met this guy. He was like, man, Rodney, I wish you would have won. Man, they said some terrible things about you. And I was like, what? He said, oh, there were people going around going, who you voting for? And they were like, well, why? You better not vote for Rodney. Well, what do you mean? And what happened was that day, there was a couple things. One, and this was a fact, there's a happy little hotel. It's right in the center of Compton. Been there for many, many years. It's called the Crystal Palace Casino, right there off the 91. Beautiful location. You're driving down, you can see it right by the side of the freeway. And I said to myself, I said, well, I'm going to stop in there one day. I'm in the middle of my election. So I stopped by there and I said, I went to the front desk and I'm walking around and I said, there's no front desk here. This is strange. And I said, I asked this guy walking around, he was just a janitor. I said, excuse me, where's the front desk? He said, we don't have a front desk. I said, what do you mean you don't have a front desk? This is a Crystal Palace hotel. What do you mean there's no front desk? And sure enough, this whole multi-story building did not have a front desk. It was not a hotel. I was like, well, why is this building standing here in the middle of the city? Number one, we don't have a hotel of quality nature. And I said, so finally I found the general manager, and the guy talked to me, and he says, well, no, the hotel is shut down. I said, but what about all the jobs? We don't have any jobs. And so at that point, I did happen to know a very astute group up in Beverly Hills. I called them. I said, hey, guys, can you come down here? So they came down, and again, some other guys showed up dressed to kill at the city council meeting. Mr. Rippy, you got a couple distinguished gentlemen with you. Who are they? I said, oh, well, these are some colleagues of mine. They came down. We just happened to go by the Crystal Palace Casino, and they are interested in buying it and rebranding it into a branded hotel so that we have a real hotel here in the city of Compton. Again, you can hear the crickets start coughing in the back of the room. And the guy stepped up, and when I took him over there, he looked at the place. He says, yeah, well, you probably buy it about $4 or $5 million. And I mean, not even him and his partner did not have a problem whatsoever with purchasing that, renovating it, and setting it up as a branded hotel. And when that happened, this guy told me, fast forwarding back to the gentleman that was talking to me, and he said people were saying all these crazy things. There was this crazy rumor that Rodney Allen Rippy owned all of Compton, and Rodney had a group of people buying up all of Compton, and Rodney was going to raise the rent and run everybody out of town. That was one of the lies that was told. And I said, I do not own any property in Compton. And they were like, well, that's what everybody was saying. And I was like, mercy. But again, it was all kidding aside, it was a wonderful experience. I was deeply moved by the stories that I had heard from people, because people said, my grandma lives here. I've been here. I grew up in this city. Man, Rodney, we really want to turn the city around. And I had trust me, I had spoke to more than 75 folk. That was crazy. And then there was some crazy article that said that I only had 75 votes in the whole city. And I was like, right, I got that. So that's the story.
This is interesting. So what we might need to do is go to a city council meeting. Okay. You might have to just join me in Long Beach. We'll head out to the city council meeting and we'll do the same thing. I'll be like, look who's with me. Rodney Allen Rippy. They'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that. But I was actually at the Crystal Park Hotel and Casino on Thursday. So I think it's come a long way since then. I don't know.
Yes. It's been a number of years. There's a new group there. They've done some renovations. It looks very beautiful. I actually stopped in I would probably say about 8 months ago. I stopped in and I did stop in. Someone just told me, let's jump off the freeway and stop. And I did. And I just walked in and I said, oh, marble floors. I said, okay. I said, the place looks great, And I said, whoever is, working on this thing, they're trying to get this thing back up. But there was a lot of information that were downloaded to me. It was really weird. I mean, in the middle of the election, I was getting anonymous packages that were being sent to me. No return address with information. It was a bit spooky. It literally was a bit spooky because I had people dropping dimes and saying stuff. And I'm like reading through this stuff and I'm like, what in the heck? But you have to take all of this in consideration because of what had gone on, how everything was looking, how things were playing out. So it, for me, was a heck of an experience. And to answer your question, do I have faith in the political system? Yes, I do. But it really takes a community, and yes, it takes some serious folks during the election to make sure that the votes are being counted properly, and you can't have, the fox in the chicken coop when something's going on like that. You need to make sure that this thing is fair and square, that the people, that their voice and their votes are being heard and counted, and that this is a legit thing. So, yeah, I think that it was, something that could have been improved. But yeah, any political, and it's not just Compton, it's everywhere. Every city in the nation, everywhere, they need to have the best systems in place and really have some very good people there making sure that every vote is counted.
Absolutely. Every vote is counted. I do have
That's
a
right.
few more questions for you, but we're going to stop right now for a brief commercial
Okay.
break. We'll be right back.
One thing we as a people must always remember is that the children are our future and how truly beautiful they are. Sharifah Hardie is here to do just that. She is here to remind us of the beauty in each of us, especially our young people. But we can't just remind our young people of how beautiful they are on the outside. We must teach them how beautiful they are on the inside, and that they too can make a difference in this world. We must provide our young people with more opportunities, such as career training, better education, access to mentors, and the belief that a new day is coming. In fact, that new day is almost here. 2024 will see that new day dawn with Sharifah Hardie as Senator of California, District 33. Make a difference today by donating to the Sharifah Hardie for Senate District 33 campaign at www.sharifahhardieforsenate.com.
My dresses might not fit me like the girls on IG, but I recognize that real is rare. See,
Yes. Thank you,
That's
Sharifah
right.
Hardie for Senate District 33, March 5th, 2024. Definitely go out and vote. Grab your friends, your neighbors, your parents, your spouse, your children, as long as they're over 18, and make sure they vote. But if you are just now tuning in, I have the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Rodney Allen Rippy. We are discussing politics, what's going on in the world. And if you haven't shared this show, please go ahead and share it, because as I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on Ask Sharifah Videocast. And one of the things that I wanted to bring out about even the Senate video is truly my belief that the children are our future. And I believe that one of the biggest detriments, biggest mistakes that our government, our country has made is taking the trades out of the school systems. When we're unable to learn from vocational schools or trade schools or just any school. I remember having home ec and sewing and so many other aspects of schools that we don't have now, which doesn't allow us to be able to feed our families. And I know that was something, especially STEM, was important for you as well.
You're 100% correct. I mean, think back, everybody, when you were in school, you had metal shop, wood shop, electrical, home ec, the music programs, the arts were thriving. This has been a travesty in education because so many school districts all around the country, they started deleting programs. They started closing down these technical shops, these vocational shops. Do you know, and think about this, and this is a fact, how many carpenters, plumbers, mechanics you can talk to them and you ask them, where'd you guys get your start? What made you want to go into this? Man, when I was in high school, I had wood shop. And so I just always loved it. Now these people own construction companies. And see, here's the fact. There is a large percentage of young people who will not go to college. I personally believe in vocational trades. I believe that we should bring them back. I'm working with a dear friend of mine. His name's Bill Montgomery. We have a group called the Hidden Pioneers. Bill is the cousin of the late, great Katherine Johnson. We have a working relationship with NASA. Bill had been a school teacher in the city of Long Beach. He's also been an LA Unified School District teacher. He worked up in LA. And the crazy thing about this is when you start talking to young people, they don't have a vision. A lot of times when you see this, people, and you say, well, what is this? People say, it's a cell phone. No, it's a pocket computer. And Bill has built a whole curriculum talking to young people about the proper way to use a pocket computer, as well as the time you spend on it. Here's another fact. Candidate Hardie, think about this. When you think about your phone and your phone numbers and everything, remember back in the day when you had phone numbers in your head? And I used to have at least 30, 40 phone numbers easy. I said, oh man, I got to call so-and-so. Pick up the phone, dial. How many phone numbers can you remember now?
No.
Why do people freak out so bad if they lose their phone? This is the whole epicenter of business contacts. And yeah, it is too much information in these things, but that is what we want people to understand about the trades. I'm also working with a group back out of the East Coast, the HBCU Resource Center. We are in a hard press for 2024 to make sure that more young people starting at the housing authority levels have access to vocational trades. And that is science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. When you look around the nation, we have an extreme shortage of technicians, electrical people, plumbers. These type of trade jobs pay very, very high. And people don't realize how much money they can earn and what type of job security you have. When you have a certification, if you're on a job somewhere and you don't like the way you're being treated, you can pick up your tools, you have your certification. And I talked to a HVAC heating and air conditioning company. They are just desperate for heating and air conditioning technicians. They want to hire as many as they can get. These are certain trades that would make a huge difference. Me personally, it's funny you mentioned home ec. I was in North Carolina. I went to high school in North Carolina and had the opportunity, and I had a choice between taking Future Farmers of America, and I would have been out in the field messing around farming and stuff, or I could have took home ec. And so I started thinking about this, and my buddies, all the guys said, hey man, well, what are you going to take? You need an elective. What you going to take? And I said, well, I got two choices. And they said, well, it's either home ec or FFA, Future Farmers of America. And so they was like, well, man, I know what you're going to do. I said, you do? Okay. Guess what? I enrolled in home ec because, and all my friends said, Rodney took home ec. I said, funny, ain't it? I said, you know why I took it? I said, I'm the only dude in the classroom. I got all the women. What? Home ec. Right? Oh, can you believe it? I said, hey, y'all boys enjoy that sunshine out there. I'm going to be making some biscuits. I'll talk to y'all later. And guess what? I learned how to cook. I learned a passion. And I didn't take it just for the girls, really. But the reality of it was I did have a a deep desire because my mom cooked. I love my mom's cooking. My mom was a Southern girl from North Carolina, and everything that she cooked was perfect. Everything. And I mean, and I wanted to have that skill set, and thank God from my mother. Thank God for home ec, because it kind of lit a fire under me. And let me tell you, right now, to this day, the brother can burn. I'm telling you, for Thanksgiving, I made a teriyaki turkey. Legs and the wings fell off of it. It was so tender. I said, and then I baked it. And you know, but these are the type of things that I really, really enjoy. But young people need to understand having a skill set is a serious thing. Do you know, check this out. Do you know the major automotive companies are freaking out? And you know what they're freaking out about?
No.
Young people don't care. Young people don't care nothing about owning cars.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to a young person and you say, hey, man, you 16, man, aren't you excited? And they're like, excited about what? Man, you turn 16, soon you're going to be able to drive. Drive? What do I want to drive for? I just Uber.
Right.
Don't you have your own autonomy? They have completely shifted the idea of maturity, responsibility, all of that. They just think it's cool to sit back off in somebody else's car and see Americans, people, we're becoming lazy. And see, this is something that we really got to get on top of. We have to get people back working. There's a lot of able-bodied people who could be working. We could lessen the effect and the burden on our social service system. We got some serious problems. Yes, they needed to tighten up that dang on border down there, because now people who are here, residents who are here, people who are in the struggle, now social service systems all across the country are burdened because we have allowed 500,000 more people or more to pour in from our borders unchecked. And that is something that should not have happened. That is some serious stuff. And when you start looking at the world, I mean, me personally, I have a different outlook on things. I've had some very serious questions and conversations with partners of mine. I said, okay, they started talking about Russia and Ukraine. I said, if I was the president, the first rocket that Putin had shot over in the Ukraine, I would have said, that's it. I would have got on the phone. I would have called United Nations. I would have said, every nation scramble 100,000 to the border of Ukraine. And then we would have had a discussion with Putin. We'd have said, hey, listen, you just killed about 8 people over here. These people were shopping. They had grocery stores, schools, churches, little cafes, people sitting out having coffee, minding their own business. Rockets start falling. My question, how did the world, the whole entire world, how did the whole United Nations sit back and watch Putin just bomb? Putin punked everybody. He scared everybody. He let everybody know, I'm crazy. And y'all, I'm crazy. Well, guess what? There's nowhere in the world where there should be a tyrant left unchecked and unbridled, and it shouldn't happen from the United States side. It should be very, very clear that there's nowhere in the world for a tyrant. And there were so many innocent people killed in the Ukraine and damage and stuff like that. And now I sit here and I wonder about this. I'm like, well, how? Maybe after a couple of days, there should have been like, whoa, wait a minute, dude, you're getting really crazy with this. Do you know how much damage you've done? They sat there and let him blow the whole place down. I got some serious questions about that. I just, I see things a little bit different. Maybe I'm wrong, but those are the type of things that shouldn't happen. I think that, and I mean, that's a much bigger, higher global outlook on things. But I'm saying that same type of unbridled, unchecked kind of thing it shouldn't have happened there, and certain things that happen within our own United States of America. There are things that should be checked and addressed, and we need to get down to the bottom of it. We need to have some serious conversations. I hear a lot of stuff, Republican, Democrat, there's a lot of stuff, but where are the people? How are we taking care of the United States of America? And we shouldn't be at each other's throats. We're better than that. And we need to get down to some business of taking care of America, putting people back to work, securing our borders, making sure that our schools are functioning at the highest degree, making sure that that there is a serious mandate on the type of violence and things like that. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I grew up in a house. My father had guns. It was very, very clear that these were not toys. And my dad made sure that everybody knew, don't be rambling around my drawers because there's something in there. And however, he did make us aware that these are, this is for extreme protection only. So, I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of mental illness going on right now that needs to be addressed. There's a lot of people with real serious emotional things. And the thing about it is, we really need to get down to loving our fellow man. I know it's hard to do sometimes, but if you see a person in distress, we need to be the first person to be able to encourage people. There's nothing funny about mental illness and things like that. Not to mention the illicit drug use and things that's going on. And me personally, I just think that there needs to be a much bigger campaign of awareness and conversations, because I mean, it's just like with fentanyl. You got people who have seen thousands of people die from this stuff, and they still like, I'll pop that pill. Yeah, I'll pop that pill. I'm like, do you not realize that pill you pop can kill you? And I'm like, I could not ever imagine. Maybe I just love living and trying to think and project about tomorrow more than any type of high. That thinking about the future and accomplishing things, that's my high. Something temporary that could kill you, no chance for me. Mm-mm.
You done covered so many different areas. You were in your flow, so I didn't want to interrupt, but there were so many different areas. No, please, it was good. It was great. I did not want to interrupt. You were over there taking on Putin and everything else. But it just seems to me that you are that kind of guy that makes things happen, right? And you speak to so many different people, and they're adamant about their views, adamant about their positions. This is what I would do. But then those people get out of politics. Is there a chance that you will consider politics in the future?
I've actually, again, I've had people recently, just a couple weeks ago, ask me. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I was down in Compton. Somebody approached me and said, why don't you run again? We need you. They told me quietly in my ear. And I said, and I started thinking, is it possible to affect change and not have to be in the inner workings of it? And I started thinking, that's why I'm in the process of establishing the Rippy Foundation. I plan to work with at-risk youth, senior citizens, and veterans. These are my 3 core visions that I'm gonna impact. And so I do know for a fact that yes, could it be? I never say never, but I know this time, if I were to get engaged into politics, let me tell you, I am going to be bulletproof. I am going to be so tight that I was already tight the last time, but the bottom line is there are certain things that I should have held a little closer to the vest until a little bit later. Because I think that I had scared a few folks and it was real. They needed to be scared because there was going to be some serious change. And I think that every city, everything from our president down, now we've got some serious issues. We got some serious issues going on right now. And, me personally, like I said, I thought that I was seriously troubled when I saw what happened at the Capitol. And when I seen those people run up in the Capitol like that, I said, this is a big problem. I said, because there's no way that should have happened. There's no way that should have happened. And it did. And the whole world seen it. And I thought to myself, something's broken, something's seriously broken. And we as Americans, able-bodied people with minds to vote, we need to study. We need to study these candidates. We need to study about what they're talking about. We need to try to figure out as close to their motivation and vote from the heart. You got to vote with your conviction. You got to vote on your religious beliefs. You got to vote and stand for something, because if you don't, it's going to be a big problem. Everybody's got to stand up. And it shouldn't be, back in the day, people could have their differences, but nowadays you have an opinion about something could be very detrimental. I mean, you could say the wrong thing or just have a difference of opinion. And then you got people trying to wreck you. I mean, literally trying to take your job and all kind of craziness. And so we have a lot of work to do.
We definitely have a lot of work to do. But again, I want to go back to something else you mentioned was
Sure.
the HBCUs. And if you or anyone else visit my website at SharifahHardieForSenate.com, one of the things that you will clearly see on there is that I'm a huge supporter of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I filed to run for Senate in 2021. My website was built around that same time. And bring it fast forward to 2023, 2024. When I'm speaking, I was speaking for an organization. They asked me my thoughts on DEI. And when they asked this question, it really took me by surprise, because I was just like, okay, what is this DEI? Like, everybody knows DEI. But there's a push by people like Elon Musk to say DEI must die. They want to get rid of things like HBCUs and affirmative action and things that help us, let's say, because they say the DEI and the HBCUs or anything that helps us out is really just reverse racism. And I'm like, okay, how can you be against DEI? Like, which part are you against? The diversity, the equity, or the inclusion? Like, which part are you against? That is my question, but it's surprising. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that we as Americans have seen enough proof that things just aren't equal across all boards. It just isn't, and with that said, growing up, it's always been a thing that my father, I listened to my father. He's older than me. He's been through things. He saw stuff, and he came from a time and an era where, back in the day, it used to be, if you were just a man, if you just said, hey, I want to work. They said, well, what can you do? Oh, I can do such and such. Yeah, we could use you, and you go to work. Nowadays, there are systems, people who are literally standing in people's way. And a lot of times people say, well, there's no such thing as racism. Really now? And I think that, me personally, I've had this discussion with people, and I just said, look, I think that, for an example, just what happened at the Capitol, that was a bad situation. It would have been a whole lot worse if it had been black and brown people crawling up that building. They would have been shooting live rounds. In my opinion, maybe it's just my opinion, they would have been shooting people off the building. I guarantee you, they would not have even got close to crawling, cracking a window or nothing. And I just think that, and I said, how did this happen? How did this happen? And that's far beyond my scope and everything like this. But I think that there's a place for everyone. And you know, the thing about this is when you start hearing the stories and the history of how our nation has run and how rough it has been on people of color. There has been so much injustice that it has to be checked. It has to be checked. When you hear things that people say, well, a simple discussion, a person taking a parking space for somebody, and things escalate, and you'll see somebody saying, yelling and screaming, oh, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to say you said such and such. When a person can say, I'm going to call the police and say that you said or you did such and such, and they're trying to position something, there's a problem. There really seriously is a problem. And that's why me personally, I thank God that there are plenty of cameras around, because people say, well, oh, I feel like Big Brother's watching. Well, doggone, Big Brother do need to be watching, because in some cases, Big Brother watching, cameras, video, audio, those things have been the only saving grace for situations. And so and again, the question is, will we ever become one? Will we ever be able to look at a man, regardless of how tall he is, the color of his skin? Is he any different than any other man? That's a question. Or woman. So there's a lot of things that needs to be checked. And again, I think that there's a place for diversity, inclusion. Yes, most definitely. But case in point, I'm actually working on a project right now, and it's called Hidden Star Learning. And it's actually a master class. Most of these big master classes they could cost anywhere from $700 to $2,000, and people spend all kinds of money taking master classes. This master class is only $99. And it's a 5.5 hour long master class. It will teach you everything you need to know about incorporations, how to set up a business, how to run it properly, what not to do. It's all in this training, this master class, hiddenstarlearning.org. And you can hit a promo code, put Rodney in the promo code. It's only $99. If you say, well, I don't have $99, guess what? They'll break it down to $24.99. You can make payments on it and still take the course. This is the type of thing that it's information. You know, Ms. Harding, Candidate Harding, it's about information. It's about truth. It's about opening up opportunities. And again, our people, we need more of opportunities as far as things that we can do, as far as training. Again, the STEM is where it's at: science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. There is some huge opportunities. The group that I'm with, the HBCU Resource Center, we are doing a e-gaming competition. And we're going into the housing authorities, and we're getting young people who already play games, but we're telling them, hey, don't just play the game, make the game, learn about coding, learn about cybersecurity, learn about animation. All of the inner workings of the video game are careers. And so we're trying to show the young people, don't just be a consumer, be a producer. Produce these games, get into the action. With just a little simple certification. A lot of people don't know the average person in a housing authority probably nets about $10,000 a year. What the federal government is wanting is for people to have certifications to get them to a level where they're capable of earning at least $70,000 through just a few months of training. So picture this: if you're a person and you're saying, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of my lifestyle. I need to get up and move forward. You need to take a certification. You don't need to know the whole process. All you need to do is be a specialist in your one little area. You don't have to understand how the whole electric car goes together. All you need to do is know that one specific certification, that one part. Now you're earning $70,000 a year. Now you can take your life, your family, yourself, anywhere you want to go. And that's what we are. That's what the Hidden Pioneers is all about. That's what the HBCU Resource Center, that is what HUD wants. That is what our federal government wants. They want people to start being better trained, have more access to higher quality jobs through a certification. So that is everything that's out there from the trades. Get busy, people, get into school, get those certifications and get to work.
I love it, and I definitely agree. And I want to hear more about it at our event. The Black Business Co-op is holding an event on Sunday, February 4th in honor of Black History Month. It is 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. It is at the Current Hotel, Hotel Current on PCH, where PCH and Anaheim meet. So we would love for you or one of your representatives to come in and to speak more about what you have going on. And again, that's the Black Business Co-op at blackbusinesscoop.org. And it was very important for me to be a part of founding this company, because one of the things that I always say is that I'm going to continue to fight for our Black people and our Black businesses, because Black people are at the bottom of just about every list that matters, from home ownership to generational wealth to land ownership to marriage to education. We are at the bottom. The only list Black people come up the top of is incarceration. We are number one in incarceration, and that has to change. And I think part of the reason and part of the way we change that is to create profitable businesses. So we definitely want you to come out and speak to our members. Now, Rodney, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching the show live, as well as everyone who is watching in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today.
Well, first of all, it is indeed an honor to be on here with you, Candidate Hardie. God bless you for what you're doing. Bless your race for Senate. I would like to say that, get out there, support great organizations. Please be on the lookout. I'm planning to release my autobiography this year, so I'm working on that. I'm also working on a project called Music Then, Now, and Forever. I'm actually the host of it. It's kind of a music show, but we're featuring some great people. I'm working on a documentary, the Billy Foster, Etta James story. So it's actually another great project. I'm co-executive producer of the Country Soul Music Awards. That's coming 2024. And again, I'm national spokesman for Hidden Star Learning, hiddenstarlearning.org. Put in the promo code Rodney, save some bucks and get out there and learn. And last but not least, I'm going to be present at the 4th annual Global Diversity Summit. That's going to take place on Black History Month, February 23rd at SEMA. And that's going to be over in the city of Brea. That's goodness, SEMA is a huge automotive thing. They do the big show in Vegas. And again, that is just what we're trying to do, is get more young people involved in all aspects of transportation. So SEMA, very nice group. They're going to allow us to do the event there on the 23rd. And then the 25th, we will be in Riverside, California at the Tyler Mall at Phi-Etum. Family is all that matters. It's on the 2nd floor. This is a STEM lab right inside of the mall. And we're going to just have a good time. The Hidden Pioneers are going to be there. It's going to be a great, great time. And again, thank you all. God bless you. And hey, get out there and vote for Candidate Hardie. She's running for Senate.
Thank you. Thank you.
33rd District.
Yes, Long Beach to Huntington Park. I want to thank you for being a guest on today's episode of Ask Sharifah Videocast. And I also want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, as well as everyone who is watching in the archives. Go ahead and share this show. Until next time, everyone have a safe and a blessed day.